150-degree temperature. This is actually concrete.
118 today. That makes it the hottest day that we've ever had in the month of August here in Phoenix.
Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. I did a video, I don't know, a month or so back on this swamp cooler, and I thought today would be a pretty great day for an update. Well, because right now it is 116 degrees outside. I've seen comments, actually just got one which spurred me making this video, about how a mini split would be a much better solution for the garage. There is a reason why I went with this swamp cooler. Biggest reason is that this garage, from the wall to the garage door opening, we are 19 feet 9 inches or so, and my truck about 19 feet 2 inches. Yes, I can pull the truck into the garage, close the door, but then I can't get around it. So with the swamp cooler, I'm actually able to pull the truck in, leave the garage door open, and keep this garage, we'll call it, relatively cool. But there are some significant drawbacks to going with a swamp cooler over, say, a traditional air conditioner. Before we carry on too long, we'll hook this up to the hose, which is one thing that I absolutely love about this. I also added on a water filter because we have really hard water here, and I noticed pretty much within the first day, you could see the white hard water streaks on the filter. So I added this to basically give myself a little bit of defense against the hard water, and also a little hose coupling here so that I wasn't snapping this off, rolling it around the garage. I also picked up these Portacool hard water treatment tablets. It's like wrapped in some sort of nylon, and that goes in there. It's supposed to make a difference. I've been running those. The areas that you really want to avoid something like this, and honestly why I didn't even know a whole lot about these until recently, is that I come from the Northeast, back up in Buffalo, New York. If you're in a humid climate, anything over, I'd say 40% humidity, these things really don't work all that well, if at all. Being here right now, it is 115 degrees outside, but it is only 13.7% humidity. So what's happening is I'm introducing cooler air into the garage, but the humidity that's getting built up is then also equalizing almost immediately with the less humid air outside. So I'm dropping the temperature, and the humidity is kind of stabilizing between these two areas. So for those of you who have said, oh, you should close your garage door. No, you shouldn't, because what happens, and I've experienced this, it'll spike upwards to 40, 50%. And then at that point, the swamp cooler really isn't doing anything because, well, it's not gonna be able to cool humid air. So how cool is this air on a 115 degree day, 116 degree day, coming off of this cooler? 9 mile an hour wind, 10.2, and the temperature coming off of this thing is 88.1 degrees. So we have 88 degree air coming off a swamp cooler that is sucking in 116 degree air. That's pretty insane. We have 150 degree temperature. This is actually concrete. If you look at the brick where the sun is hitting everything, 140. Coming into the garage here, concrete down to 96. The walls and surfaces here chilling around about 100. This is all because this all got to ambient temperature because the garage itself was closed earlier, so this is just what the garage is. All these walls are insulated, the ceiling is insulated, and here you can see coming off the fan, we are about 82 here, not air temp, but surface temp. Now, before I insulated this garage, I was battling some pretty terrible temperatures outside. This is the southwest exposure, and this wall getting 150 degrees with no insulation in there as it wasn't. You can see in the shade, it's down to 134, but that heat, before I insulated the garage, would just superheat this entire garage because that was what was on the other side of this wall. So you can see the ambient temperature of that wall, 150 outside, and inside is now just whatever it is inside because of that insulation. And actually, these FLIR cameras are a really great way to see how much insulation you got into the wall. You can tell up top, I kind of missed a spot there. So I do recommend these FLIR cameras. I'll link it in the description down below. This gets quite a bit more use around the house than one might think that it would. Coming into the fridge, of course, we are down to 36 degrees for the fridge. Super nice. As I started recording this video, between then and now, the temperature outside 116.8, and the garage is basically settling around 99.8. degrees. Now, if I started running this thing a little bit earlier and got all of the surface temperatures of everything in here a little bit cooler, I think the temperatures would be closer to about 95. Still very warm, but that's the difference between getting some stuff done in the garage and not even wanting to step foot in the garage at all. Now let's talk mini splits. The problem I have with a mini split is that it's not an easy solution for me. I would love to have somebody link up with me for a sponsorship to run a mini split, because it would make a huge difference out here when I close the garage door. If I could work in a 70-degree garage, that would be absolutely amazing on a 100-something degree day. But the issue that I have is that the best place to put a mini split would be on this wall over here, so that it's basically would be a direct drop outside with all of the unit and everything right on the other side of that wall. But the problem is I can't do that because this is an HOA and I cannot have any heating and cooling elements visible from the road. We would have to get the air conditioning beyond this wall, which we can't do. You can see we've got garbage cans and things like that. If we were to do something over here, it would basically block this entire walkway. So I would need to go all the way to the back of the house with a unit over there, and that just becomes really difficult for not only the plumbing, but also electrical to get back there. So if I were to go with a mini split, by the way, I get asked all the time, where'd this fan come from? It's just a 6-foot diameter fan that I picked up from, I think, Home Depot a few years ago. It does okay. It's not the best fan design in the world, and also having fans in garages, kind of a little bit dangerous. I've got some stuff up in there many a times. Luckily, no major carnage, but be careful with fans in garages. Now, if I were to do a mini split, what I would want to do is a cassette in the ceiling over here. As you can see, I've done a bunch of work in terms of shelving units in this garage for organization, maximizing almost every square inch that I possibly can. So taking any real estate on the wall seems almost impossible for me at this point. So I think having that cassette up in the ceiling is by far the best way to go. We have basically from the other side of this wall up into the attic to do a run all the way over here. Not only does that get us dropped down behind this block wall here, but we also have the electrical panel. So our electrical run would basically just get us over to this side here, and that would be a much better solution to have that unit sitting back with the other unit. So nothing is perfect. A swamp cooler has a lot of drawbacks. Again, the whole thing is if you live in a humid climate, they really don't do much anything. If you live in a desert area, they're great. What I love about the swamp cooler is that it's super portable. So while it's not getting the garage down to 70, I can take it on wheels and pretty much put it wherever I want, wherever I'm working, and actually control the environment in a very specific area. The other nice thing with a swamp cooler is that when it's super hot outside, if I'm not working in the garage and maybe I'm throwing something on the Traeger in the backyard, I can just roll this into the backyard and have a nice cool patio area that I otherwise don't have, instead of trying to run misters. I've known enough people here in the desert who rig up a whole nice mister system in their backyard, but because of the hard water here, all of those little jets end up getting clogged and the misters end up just creating puddles everywhere. It's like a huge mess. This is a much more controlled environment, and when the hard water gets all clogged up in those filters, which by the way, I think we're getting there. It's been running now for, like I said, a month or two, whatever it's been. I've been running the snot out of this thing, and I'm probably due for a $60 filter change so that it's running as optimally as it possibly can. Now the mini split, would that be awesome? Absolutely. I would love to sit out here, not fire up the swamp cooler, get the garage cooled down to 70 degrees, be able to film a video without having it get super humid and all of that. So drawbacks, give and take with everything. But I will tell you guys, if you live in a very dry climate and you're looking to cool off your garage, this is a great first step. Way easier. There's no installation, no wiring, none of that stuff. But let me know in the comments down below. I know a lot of people like to say go with the mini split, but you're talking about thousands versus hundreds, and that was where I made my decision. And I don't regret it, but I would like it to be a little bit cooler in here. With that said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. See you guys next time. Man, it's hot out here. 116 degrees. Jeez.